What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with some more fantasy football content today. Quarterback values. I've got three quarterbacks for you guys that where they're currently being drafted are going to return on that ADP. At worst, they're going to finish at that floor. Obviously, barring injury, injury can derail any fantasy football season. It's a dangerous game that we play, but it's just the way it goes. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out wide receiver values. Check out running back values already out on the channel. If you want to beat your friends and family in fantasy football, bring home that championship, you're going to want to hit that subscribe button. All the content on the channel is absolute gold. Rankings, wide receiver values, league winners, all that information, but bust, sleepers, everything you need is on the channel. So check that stuff out, guys. But I'm going to be talking about quarterbacks today, and we're going to kick it off. Joe Burrow going as the quarterback 7 right now, and I just want to read you guys some stats about Joe Burrow. So 2023, injury played at the calf injury, struggling with it at the beginning of the season where he just obviously wasn't himself, then goes down season long with that injury. But we got to take a look at some of these past seasons for Joe Burrow and just contextualize how good he was for fantasy football in some of these seasons. So in 2022, he finished as a quarterback 4, averaging 21.7 points per game. As you can see, about 4,500 yards, 35 passing touchdowns. Pretty good year. The year before, 2021, finished as a quarterback 8, but that was a really good year for fantasy football quarterbacks. He was averaging 20.5 points per game, 4,600 yards throwing, and 34 passing touchdowns. I also want to point out 2022 season, he had 5 rushing touchdowns. That's within the realm of possibilities for him, just something to consider. He does give you a little bit of a boost with his legs, besides being a down at pocket passer. But what can you expect from Joe Burrow based off his season production? And you're getting the discount based off the player that he looked like last year as he struggled, like I said, marred by injuries. I expect 4,000 to 5,000 passing yards from Joe Burrow. Probably going to be, 4,500 or more, somewhere close to that. 30 to 40 touchdowns. I think he could easily hit 40 touchdowns in a year like this. He has got great weapons. Ja'Marr Chase is an elite number 1 wide receiver, as good as it gets in the NFL. T. Higgins is a great number 2, again, just about as good as it gets in the NFL. And Burton is a talented rookie number 3 for this team. They brought in some guys on the offensive line to help strengthen it. I think Joe Burrow is a value where he's currently going. Like I said, last year, or in 2021, he finished as a quarterback 8. He's being drafted as a quarterback 7 right now. But last year, Goff was a quarterback 7. He averaged 17.8 points per game. Joe Burrow 20.5 in that 2021 season. So again, would have been finished even higher than where he's currently being drafted. I just think he is going to return. And when I can draft him this late in drafts, I am just very comfortable adding him to my team with the upside that he possesses and knowing that I got a guy that can go out there and win me weeks and is going to be pretty solid most of the time. Moving on to our quarterback value number 2, it's Kyler Murray. Currently going as the quarterback 8 right now. Just want to point out some things about Kyler. Got to look at his seasons and contextualize them. He is a rushing threat. If you look at his career, he's averaged 37.7 rushing yards per game, and that includes this last season where he wasn't doing a ton of running. That 37.7 rushing yards, I think it'll be closer to 40 once he's healthy, is basically a passing touchdown a game that he just adds onto that floor. And obviously it's not going to happen every single week, but the average is out to giving you a lot more production on the ground than people realize. He's got great young weapons in Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is going to hit the ground running as a rookie. Trey McBride, who he established that connection with at the end of the year. He's now a year removed from that torn ACL. He got to get back out there last year, get some of the rust off, play half a season. He was okay. Wasn't bad by any means, but I think this year is going to be more of his old self. I just want to point out some of the crazy fantasy production he's had. So again, in 2020, he averaged 24.4 points per game for fantasy football, which is absolutely absurd. That next year, 22.2 points per game for fantasy football, 22, 18.9, and last year, 18.9 points per game. If we put this into perspective, again, Jared Goff was a QB7 last year at 17.8 points per game. Kyler, in an injury-marred season, coming back from a torn ACL, still averaged 18.9 points per game on a team that did not have Marvin Harrison, had a worse offensive line than they probably will have this year with some of the additions they brought in. I just think Kyler is going to be dramatically better removed from this ACL. Like I said, the increase in weapons, offensive line, just being more comfortable in the offense. I think all these things add together, and the pedigree that he's displayed for years and the rushing ability, he's going to be a good quarterback for fantasy football. He's got top 5 upside. It's a guy that could finish as a quarterback 3 potentially. I think he'll finish, close to top 5, and you're currently getting him as a quarterback 8. Again, I just think this is very close to where Kyler Murray's floor is. Basically, the only thing that stopped him from producing in fantasy football in the past has been injuries. But if you have an elite quarterback who misses a few games and you can, go grab a guy who's highly replaceable on the waiver wire for a few weeks, it's not the worst thing to happen when you can get this elite value, stack your teams with running backs and wide receiver studs, and then get this stud quarterback later who you just got to hope can play 17. I expect Kyler to be close to 4,000 passing yards this year, 25 passing touchdowns, 500 rushing yards, and 5 rushing touchdowns. I think it's been an excellent season for Kyler Murray. Moving on to our third quarterback value, it is Jordan Love, currently going as a quarterback 10. And this one doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, to be honest. Again, all these, I'm just a little bit confused because when you just look at the data and what he's done. So last year, Jordan Love, quarterback 5, first year as a starter in the NFL. Typically, quarterbacks take a leap in year 2 to get a lot better just because they've seen, get a season of reps and him getting to get some playoff games as well. Massive for his development, I believe. But he's a quarterback 5 last year, averaging 19.4 points per game. And he had a really rough start the first 10 games of the season. Week 1 through 10, he averaged 17.8 points per game. Again, that's the same as Goff, who was a quarterback 7 last year. One of the best quarterbacks over the second half of the season, though, averaging 20.9 points per game. So that points out if you get that first half of the year player, even if you draft him, with how much he runs the ball, the touchdowns he throws still, just a lot of the plays he's able to make, he pushes the ball down the field. He might throw some picks, but he still had 14 touchdowns those first 10 weeks of the season, which isn't a bad number by any means. Ran a few in as well. You're still getting a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football if it's, the garbage Jordan Love in the first half. And if he's anywhere close to the player he was in the second half, you're getting a guy who's going to finish well inside the top 5 again. And he's already done that in his first season as a starter. I just think he's going to gain a lot of expertise or not expertise, I should say, but I think the experience that he's gained in his first year as a starter is going to serve him very well in year 2. And I think his rushing upside, I think, will go up a little bit more this year. He had 247 rushing yards last year, 4 touchdowns. I think that goes up to 300 or 400 rushing yards and, a similar touchdown range, 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns. But he's got really good young weapons. They had the youngest roster in football last year, I think, and a lot of those young pass catchers are talented. 2 rookie tight ends last year heading into year 2, Dontavian Wicks, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, all guys in year 2 or 3 of their NFL careers. I think are getting a massive boost from just getting another year under their belt, getting reps, all these things. I just think the Packers are an offense that's on the rise. Jordan Love is clearly at the helm, and he has a lot more upside than people believe he does, and he's a great draft day value right now. I expect Jordan Love to have 4,400 plus passing yards, 35 passing touchdowns, 400 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns on the ground, and be a top 5 quarterback again for fantasy football this season. The upside is immense, especially considering his potential growth, the young core's increased potential, and like I said, where you're drafting him his current value, I just think it's a win-win. This is a guy I love drafting. And I think quarterback is a really important position in fantasy football, but getting that guy that you can draft as one of the back end guys, but can finish top 5 gives you a massive boost and a massive advantage over your competition still. And these are 3 guys that you can definitely do that with in Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. But you're definitely going to want to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.